When you picture the silver and black of the Oakland Raiders during their golden era, one southpaw gunslinger stands above the rest, Kenny the Snake Stabler. More than just a quarterback, Stabler embodied the maverick spirit of the 1970s Raiders, a team that transformed from AFL upstarts to NFL royalty under his leadership. The story of the Raiders legend began in the unlikeliest of places, under the Christmas lights of 1945 in Foley, Alabama. Kenneth Michael Stabler entered the world as a Christmas gift, though few could have predicted he would become one of professional football's most electrifying talents. Ready to discover how a small-town rebel became the Snake and changed NFL history forever? Hit subscribe and let's dive into the incredible story of Kenny Stabler. Before the bright lights of the NFL, Stabler was a three-sport phenom at Foley High School. While his spiral would eventually terrorize NFL defenses, it was his jump shot that first turned heads, averaging a remarkable 29 points per game on the hardwood. His natural athleticism wasn't limited to just one field. Major League Baseball came calling, with the Pirates, Astros, and Yankees all vying for his left-handed heat from the pitcher's mound. But like many great stories, Stabler's path wasn't without its detours. The young athlete found himself drawn to the allure of small-town trouble, spending nights with a crowd that threatened to derail his promising future. A teenage misadventure involving stolen hubcaps in Pensacola, Florida, could have been the end of his athletic journey. Instead, it became the turning point, thanks to an unexpectedly measured response from his father. Rather than unleashing fury, Stabler's father saw an opportunity for guidance. Understanding his son's crossroads moment, he made a decision that would alter NFL history. He took young Kenny to watch the New York Titans face the Houston Oilers in a preseason clash. There, Stabler witnessed the legendary George Blanda in action, collecting an autograph from the man who would later become his teammate and mentor with the Raiders. This moment planted the seeds of a football destiny, though Stabler himself didn't realize it yet. His high school football career included 2 state championships, though professional football remained far from his primary ambition. Everything changed with a simple transaction. A black 1954 Ford from his father came with a question that would alter NFL history. "So, are you going to college to play football?" It was during these formative years that Stabler earned the moniker that would follow him throughout his career. His high school coach, watching him weave through defenses with a peculiar grace, dubbed him the Snake, a nickname that would become synonymous with both his playing style and personality. The Hall of Fame would have to wait until 2016, a posthumous honor that raised eyebrows across the football world. How could a quarterback who revolutionized the position earn the 1974 MVP, made 4 Pro Bowls, and guided the Raiders to victory in Super Bowl 11, wait 3 decades for football's highest honor? It's a question that still sparks debate among football historians and fans alike. Some argue it was Stabler's off-field reputation that delayed his enshrinement, while others point to the evolution of passing statistics in the modern era overshadowing his achievements. Yet, those who played with and against him knew the Snake was more than just numbers on a page. He was football's ultimate clutch performer, a left-handed assassin who turned the final 2 minutes of a game into his personal canvas. His legacy lives on in the Raiders' mystique, in the memories of the autumn wind, and in every underdog quarterback who dares to play the game their own way. Kenny Stabler wasn't just a great quarterback. He was the embodiment of an era when football was equal parts art and warfare, and no one painted quite like the Snake. The path to NFL stardom often runs through college football's hallowed grounds, and for Kenny Stabler, that meant playing under the shadow of college football's most imposing figure, Paul Bear Bryant, at the University of Alabama. Honoring his promise to his father, Stabler stepped onto campus in 1964, walking into a dynasty that would shape his future playing style and leadership approach. Timing, they say, is everything. Stabler's freshman year coincided with Joe Namath's final season in Crimson, a masterclass in quarterback play that would culminate in a national championship. Broadway. The 1965 season saw Stabler watching and learning from the sidelines as Steve Sloan orchestrated another national championship campaign. This apprenticeship period, though frustrating for the competitive Stabler, proved invaluable. He absorbed Bryant's defensive philosophies, understanding that sometimes the best offense is playing field position, a lesson that would serve him well in the NFL's brutal defensive era of the 1970s. When Stabler finally took the reins in 1966, he brought a dual-threat dynamism to Bryant's traditionally ground-and-pound offense. His numbers, 956 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, while modest by today's standards, were impressive in an era when the forward pass was still viewed with suspicion by many coaches. His 152.5 quarterback rating highlighted an efficiency that would become his trademark with the Raiders. The rushing element of Stabler's game, 397 yards and 3 touchdowns, foreshadowed the improvisational skills that would later frustrate NFL defensive coordinators. Bryant's run-heavy system masked Stabler's true passing potential, but it developed his patience and timing, qualities that would make him one of the NFL's great clutch performers. The 1966 season ended in controversy, with undefeated Alabama ranked third behind Notre Dame and Michigan State, both of whom declined bowl invitations. This early exposure to football politics may have contributed to Stabler's later disdain for football's establishment, fitting perfectly with the Raiders' rebel identity. The 1967 season tested both Stabler's resolve and Bryant's legendary discipline. As the team's fortunes wavered, Stabler's off-field activities, missing classes, and frequenting parties put him at odds with his coach. Bryant's decision to dismiss and then reinstate Stabler revealed something crucial about both men: their understanding that winning sometimes requires managing complex personalities. The defining moment of Stabler's college career came in the rain-soaked Iron Bowl against Auburn. His 47-yard touchdown run, dubbed the Run in the Mud, wasn't just a display of athleticism. It was a glimpse of the clutch performer who would later orchestrate some of the NFL's most memorable drives. The mud-covered jersey became a symbol of Stabler's grit, a quality that would endear him to the blue-collar Raiders faithful. His final collegiate statistics, 2,196 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, 838 rushing yards, and 9 ground scores, tell only part of the story. Under Bryant's tutelage, Stabler learned lessons that would prove invaluable in the NFL. The importance of discipline, even if learned the hard way, the value of preparation, and the art of leading men. The All-SEC and All-American selections in 1967 validated Stabler's talent, but his greatest education came from navigating the pressures of leading a premier program under college football's most demanding coach. These experiences laid the foundation for a quarterback who would later be known not just for his physical skills, but for his unshakable poise in the NFL's biggest moments. The 1968 AFL-NFL draft marked a turning point in professional football history, coming just as the merger between the leagues was taking shape. For Kenny Stabler, being selected in the second round by the Oakland Raiders, fresh off their AFL championship, but smarting from a Super Bowl II loss to the Green Bay Packers, seemed like destiny. The Raiders, under the maverick ownership of Al Davis, were building what would become one of football's most iconic franchises. The symmetry was perfect. The young quarterback who'd once sought George Blanda's autograph would now share a quarterback room with the legend himself. But the Raiders' quarterback situation was complicated. Darryl, the Mad Bomber LaMonica, had established himself as one of the AFL's premier passers, while Blanda served as both backup quarterback and reliable place kicker, a dual-role specialist that would be unheard of in today's NFL. The Houston Astros' attempt to lure Stabler back to baseball highlighted his exceptional athleticism, but Stabler's commitment to football never wavered. His assignment to the Spokane Shockers of the Continental Football League, a developmental league that served as a precursor to modern practice squads, showed how different player development was in that era. The Continental Football League, though forgotten by many today, played a crucial role in developing talent for both the NFL and AFL during the merger years. Stabler's brief stint in Spokane and subsequent departure from football in 1969 marked a crossroads moment. Many talented players have disappeared from professional football after similar setbacks. But Stabler's return and conversation with John Madden in 1970 proved pivotal. Madden, who would later become one of football's most celebrated figures, saw something special in the left-handed quarterback from Alabama. The 1970 to 72 period tested Stabler's patience. The Raiders' quarterback hierarchy remained intact, LaMonica starting, with Blanda providing veteran insurance. But football teams, like life itself, often pivot on singular moments. The 1972 AFC divisional playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers would provide that moment. With LaMonica sidelined by flu, Stabler stepped into one of football's most iconic games. His 30-yard touchdown run through the muddy turf of Three Rivers Stadium with just over a minute remaining seemed to write the perfect script, the backup quarterback leading his team to playoff glory. The run showcased everything that made Stabler special: his instincts, his clutch performance ability, and his knack for rising to the occasion. But football can be cruel. The immaculate reception, Franco Harris's miraculous catch of a deflected Terry Bradshaw pass, would not only deny the Raiders victory, but become one of the NFL's most controversial and celebrated plays. The moment still sparks debate among football historians, with Raiders fans insisting the ball touched the ground before Harris caught it. Yet sometimes defeat can illuminate character more than victory. Stabler's performance in that game, particularly his go-ahead touchdown run, caught John Madden's attention. By 1973, the evidence was undeniable. Stabler's accuracy and ability to read defenses surpassed LaMonica's boom or bust style. The NFL was evolving, and Stabler's precise passing and field generalship represented its future. The transition wasn't simple. Al Davis, the Raiders' strong-willed owner, had a deep attachment to LaMonica's vertical passing game. But Madden's persistence paid off, marking the beginning of a new era in Raiders football, one where the snake would slither his way into NFL history. The 1973 season marked the true beginning of the Kenny Stabler era in Oakland, though it required John Madden's considerable political skills to convince Al Davis, a man notorious for his vertical game philosophy, that Stabler's precise, surgical approach could win championships. The debate between vertical passing and efficiency would define NFL offensive philosophy for decades to come. Stabler's first season as starter showcased why Madden had fought so hard for him. His league-leading 62% completion rate was revolutionary in an era when 50% was considered excellent. His 1,997 yards and 14-10 touchdown-to-interception ratio might seem modest by modern standards, but in the defensive-dominated NFL of 1973, these numbers were exceptional. The Raiders marched to the AFC Championship game, though ending in defeat to the dominant Miami Dolphins dynasty, served notice that a new power was rising in the AFC. The World Football League saga of 1974 remains one of pro football's most fascinating what-if moments. The WFL's aggressive pursuit of NFL stars, including Stabler and Miami's Larry Csonka, threatened to reshape professional football's landscape. For Stabler, the Birmingham Americans offered not just money, but a homecoming. The league's collapse mid-season spared the NFL a potential talent exodus, but also demonstrated the precarious nature of rival leagues. The 1974 season proved to be Stabler's masterpiece. His 26 touchdowns led the NFL, but raw numbers tell only part of the story. As knee injuries robbed him of his scrambling ability, Stabler evolved into something more dangerous, a chess master in shoulder pads. His quick release and extraordinary accuracy earned him both the NFL MVP and Offensive Player of the Year awards, accolades that somehow seem insufficient for the level of artistry he displayed. The 1975 campaign showed both Stabler's resilience and the brutal nature of NFL football. His 16 touchdowns against 24 interceptions might suggest regression, but context matters. He was playing through injuries that would have sidelined lesser quarterbacks. The playoff loss to the Steelers, while bitter, was part of what would become one of the NFL's greatest rivalries. The 1976 season saw Stabler at his peak with 2,737 yards and a league-leading 27 touchdowns. His NFL Player of the Year award validated what fans and opponents already knew. The snake was among the most dangerous weapons in professional football. Off the field, Stabler embodied the Raiders' rebel identity. His legendary nightlife became part of NFL folklore. Stories of him studying the playbook by the light of a jukebox or arriving at games still feeling the previous night's festivities. But unlike many players whose off-field activities diminished their on-field performance, Stabler seemed to thrive on his reputation as football's outlaw quarterback. His famous quote about performance mattering more than preparation became a part of Raiders mythology, but it obscured a deeper truth. Stabler's apparent nonchalance masked a brilliant football mind. His partying might have made headlines, but his ability to read defenses, make quick decisions, and deliver in clutch moments defined his legacy. The contrast between Stabler's precision on the field and his chaotic lifestyle off it perfectly encapsulated the Raiders' identity under Al Davis, professional excellence combined with rebellious spirit. In an era when the NFL was becoming increasingly corporate, Stabler and the Raiders reminded fans that football could still be both artistry and warfare, and that its greatest practitioners didn't need to fit a conventional mold. The 1976 season stands as the crown jewel in Raiders history, a campaign that finally silenced critics who labeled the Raiders as perennial contenders who couldn't win the big one. The Week 4 loss to the New England Patriots proved to be a blessing in disguise, galvanizing a team that would not taste defeat again until the following season. Super Bowl 11 showcased everything that made Stabler special. His 12 of 19, 180-yard performance against the Minnesota Vikings wasn't just efficient, it was surgical. The Purple People Eaters, Minnesota's fearsome defensive front, found themselves helpless against Stabler's quick release and precise passing. The 32-14 victory marked not just the Raiders' first Super Bowl title, but the validation of Al Davis's vision of excellence and Stabler's unconventional path to greatness. But NFL dynasties are fragile things. The 1977 season began with championship dreams but ended in the bitter cold of Mile High Stadium, where the orange-crushed defense of the Denver Broncos terminated Oakland's hopes of a repeat. The subsequent fall from grace, missing the playoffs in 1978 for the first time since 1971, exposed fractures that had been hidden beneath the surface of success. Stabler's 30 interceptions in 1977 told only part of the story. Playing through undisclosed elbow and hand injuries, he faced a perfect storm of challenges: an aging roster depleted by poor draft position, a deteriorating relationship with the media, and mounting criticism of his legendary nightlife. The Raiders' success had always provided cover for Stabler's off-field adventures, but losing stripped away that protection. The relationship between Stabler and Al Davis, always complex, finally fractured in 1978. Davis's public criticism in Sports Illustrated was unprecedented, even for an owner known for his candid assessments. The article not only targeted Stabler, but also took aim at John Madden, the coach who had championed Stabler's ascension to starter. Madden's subsequent resignation after the 1978 season marked the end of an era in Raiders football. The media blackout Stabler imposed during this period reflected both his frustration and the changing nature of NFL coverage. The league was becoming more corporate, more scrutinized, and less tolerant of the maverick spirit that had defined the Raiders' glory years. When Stabler finally broke his silence, his unvarnished criticism of Davis revealed the depth of the rift between two of football's most strong-willed personalities. The 1979 season provided a fitting coda to Stabler's Raiders career. His 3,615 yards and 26 touchdowns demonstrated that he could still play at an elite level. But the Raiders' absence from the playoffs suggested deeper organizational issues. His continued embrace of the nightlife, despite criticism, showed that success hadn't changed him. For better or worse, Stabler remained true to himself. The tension between Stabler and Davis represented more than a personal conflict. It symbolized the clash between football's freewheeling past and its increasingly corporate future. Davis, once the ultimate NFL rebel, was becoming part of the establishment he had once defied. Stabler, meanwhile, remained a throwback to an era when quarterbacks called their own plays, and players were judged more by their performance than their lifestyle. The end of Stabler's Raiders career marked not just the conclusion of a great player's tenure with a team, but the passing of an era in NFL history. The league was changing, becoming more controlled, more image-conscious. The days of the NFL's outlaw quarterback were numbered, but Stabler's legacy, both on and off the field, would continue to influence football culture for decades to come. The end of Stabler's Raiders career came with a twist that seemed pulled from an Al Davis script, a rare one-for-one quarterback trade that sent the Raiders' all-time passing leader to the Houston Oilers for Dan Pastorini. The trade marked more than just a personnel move. It represented the end of an era in Raiders football, though neither Davis nor Stabler could have predicted the ironic twist that would follow. Stabler's tenure with the Oilers began with a cruel twist of fate. In the 1980 wild card round, he faced his former team, only to watch the Raiders, led by Jim Plunkett, another resurrected quarterback, march toward a Super Bowl 15 victory. Despite throwing for 3,220 yards, Stabler's 28 interceptions told the story of a quarterback trying to force magic into a system that wasn't built for his style. The musical chairs with Coach Bum Phillips, from Houston to New Orleans, showed how intertwined personal relationships were in the NFL of that era. The Saints' years, 1982 to 1984, proved a fitting coda to Stabler's career. Though he couldn't lead the perpetually struggling franchise to its first playoff appearance, his presence gave legitimacy to a team still searching for its identity. Post-retirement, Stabler's move to broadcasting seemed natural for a man whose storytelling abilities matched his playing skills. His work with CBS and Alabama football allowed him to share his deep understanding of the game, while his charitable foundation and celebrity golf tournaments showed a man determined to give back to the community that had embraced him. The discovery of stage 3 CTE after his death in 2015 added a sobering footnote to his legacy. Stabler's decision to donate his brain to Boston University's research program revealed both his awareness of football's dangers and his commitment to helping future generations of players. His CTE diagnosis became part of a larger conversation about football's impact on long-term health, contributing to changes in how the game is played and taught today. His career statistics, 27,938 passing yards, 194 touchdowns, 222 interceptions, tell only part of the story. Being the fastest quarterback to reach 100 wins in 150 games speaks to his efficiency, while his 5 consecutive conference championship appearances, 1973 to 1977, demonstrate his consistency at the highest level. That this record stood until Tom Brady surpassed it in 2016 shows the elite company Stabler keeps in NFL history. His accolades read like a football resume from a different era. Super Bowl champion, NFL MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Burt Bell Award winner, first team and second team All-Pro selections, 4 Pro Bowl appearances, 2-time NFL passing touchdown leader, 2-time completion percentage leader, NFL All-Decade Team of the 1970s, the delayed Hall of Fame induction in 2016, a year after his death, and 32 years after his retirement, remains a point of contention in NFL circles. The oversight speaks to how Stabler's unconventional style and personality may have affected his legacy in the eyes of traditional voters, despite his undeniable impact on the game. The reconciliation with Al Davis in 2009, nearly 3 decades after their split, provided a touching footnote to one of football's great partnerships. It demonstrated how time could heal even the deepest wounds in a sport known for its lasting grudges. Stabler's legacy extends beyond statistics and awards. He was a transformative figure who helped bridge football's rough and tumble past with its modern incarnation. His left-handed delivery, quick release, and clutch performances set standards for quarterback play that persist today. Meanwhile, his off-field persona, the hard-living, hard-playing quarterback who could still deliver on Sunday, represented a type of football personality that has largely disappeared from today's more corporate NFL. In the end, Ken "Snake" Stabler embodied both the greatness and the complexity of professional football. His story, from Alabama high school star to Raiders legend to his battles with CTE, mirrors the NFL's own journey through the late 20th century. His posthumous Hall of Fame induction may have come too late, but his influence on the game, both on and off the field, remains indelible. The Snake's tale serves as a reminder that football's greatest stories often involve more than just wins and losses. They're about the characters who make the game uniquely American, for better or worse. Ken Stabler was one of those characters, and the NFL is richer for having had him slither through its history. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the legendary career of Ken the Snake Stabler. If you love stories about NFL icons who changed the game, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Drop your thoughts about Stabler's legacy in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video for more NFL classics.